Late at night, it was pitch black, and the only sounds in the quiet room seemed to be Leo's heartbeat and breathing, which was a bit depressing. With a sigh, Leo turned over and sat up in the darkness. With a little weak light, Leo turned on the bedside lamp and looked at the unfamiliar room. With a bleak face, Leo murmured in a low voice, "This is really not the original world." For him, he was not frustrated because he had come to a different world. After all, he had no ties in his previous life. He was just a fan of fighting and extreme sports. It was the same there. What really made him feel upset was that there was something extra in his mind. Super unnamed system. Yes, you read that right. This is what the system is called. At first, Leo was curious about this thing that appeared in his mind, and even a little happy. After all, this was also a benefit of traveling through time. However, the first item of the system description made him want to pull the system out and beat it up. System rules. The tasks assigned by the system must be completed, otherwise the host will be punished with the highest punishment of annihilation. Looking at the rules of the system, especially the last few words, he was speechless for a long time. Finally, he squeezed out a few words from his teeth. "Fuck you." After the anger, Leo read the current task helplessly. After all, he didn't want to challenge the consequences of failing the task and see if the system could wipe him out. He had just come to this world not long ago, and he didn't want to die for no reason. Current mission: start the journey. Mission description: this is a completely different world. Aren't you excited as a time traveler? Go ahead. Young man, start your legendary journey in this new world. Of course, to achieve legend, you must meet the main characters in this world. Mission deadline: 1 month. If you fail to complete the mission within the time limit, you will be killed. Damn it, can you not be so pitiful? Leo roared. He had just come here and didn't understand anything yet. He didn't even know what kind of world this was. Opening the road to Mao's legend, besides Big Brother. At least give me a direction. Tell me where to start contacting. What's even more pitiful, what made him speechless was that he was clearly told that there was a novice gift pack, but because he hadn't contacted the main characters, he couldn't open it yet. Forget it. Let's make the best of it. There's still half a month left. Although there was nothing he could do, Leo, who was optimistic by nature, comforted himself like this, then turned off the light and lay down on the bed. In the early morning, with the sound of chickens crowing on the farm, Leo, who had slept in a daze all night, got up according to his biological clock, dressed neatly, opened the door, and walked out. "Child, you're up. Why don't you sleep a little longer?" Hearing the door open, Paul's wife Lynn, who was preparing breakfast, couldn't help but look surprised. "Haha, Aunt Lynn, this is a habit I've developed." "Good morning, Uncle Paul." Leo looked at the busy old couple in front of him and said with a warm heart. For the convenience of reading, Leo's self-proclaimed name below is also changed to Leo. "Look, who is this handsome young man?" Leo walked to the dining table and just sat down. Old Paul's somewhat teasing exclamation came over. "Ha, Uncle Paul, you are still handsome," Leo responded, and in his heart he was extremely grateful to the old couple who picked him up and kept him. In order to repay their kindness, he always wanted to do something within his ability to repay the old couple. So Leo said, "Hey, Aunt Lynn, Uncle Paul, I'll go buy seeds today. How can this be possible? Let's go together today. You can't handle those old rascals. And your Aunt Lynn is going to buy a beautiful dress." To be honest with you, Leo, your Aunt Lynn was the most beautiful person here. Hearing this, old Paul winked at Leo and said, "You old man." Hearing this, Aunt Lynn couldn't help but roll her eyes at old Paul, picked up the juice, and slightly covered her blushing face. "Ha!" Looking at the two loving old people, Leo smiled at old Paul with a look of approval on his face. After breakfast, Leo and old Paul and his wife drove old Paul's dark gray pickup truck, listening to the songs full of generations in the car, and after a long time, they finally arrived at the town. Maybe because old Paul was a regular customer, the seed sellers did not play tricks, so they bought the seeds quickly. On the contrary, they spent a lot of time buying clothes for Aunt Lynn. You know women. It's all thanks to Leo today that the girl selling clothes gave me a discount. On the way back, Aunt Lynn looked at Leo as if he was looking at a VIP discount card, with a look of admiration on her face. "Yeah, but when I was as handsome as Leo, those girls also gave me a discount." Old Paul was a little unconvinced when he heard it. Ha! Listening to the old couple's daily bickering, Leo felt unusually warm in his heart. But at this moment, he was about to reach old Paul's house, but he saw a figure running fast, running towards old Paul's barn at a fast speed. But this was not the point. The point was that the man was actually naked. Leo looked at the figure and shouted loudly in his heart. Damn, foreign countries are so open. You can see naked people everywhere. Honey, I think there's a naked man in our barn, Aunt Lynn said to old Paul in a slightly demented voice after noticing the figure. Yes, honey, old Paul replied in the same tone. I'll go check it out. After parking the car, Leo and old Paul and his wife said something and walked towards the barn. In Leo's opinion, a naked pervert was nothing to be afraid of. After all, he had learned those fighting skills in his previous life. It was easy for him to take down the naked pervert, but old Paul reached out to stop Leo and said solemnly, "Wait for me." Then he quickly walked to his house, and a moment later, he came out with a double-barreled shotgun. This is too much. Looking at the black muzzle of the double-barreled shotgun, Leo couldn't help but feel a little sad for the naked man. I'll go in first. Uncle Paul, you stay behind me. Afraid that he would see a bloody headshot scene as soon as he entered, Leo said to old Paul behind him with a tingling scalp. Okay, kid, be careful. If that guy's bad for you, I'll shoot him in the head. Noticing the worry in Leo's eyes, old Paul promised solemnly. Okay. Hearing old Paul's assurance, Leo's heart sweated a little. Then he carefully pushed open the door of the barn and walked in cautiously. Because it had not been cleaned for a long time, the floor of the barn was full of dust. Looking at the conspicuous footprints, Leo concentrated his mind and walked along the footprints with light steps. Who are you? In the small room where the barn was stored, Leo finally saw the naked man. Looking at the man squatting on the ground, Leo was full of vigilance because the sense of crisis he had cultivated from extreme sports for a long time told him that the man in front of him was extremely dangerous. I'm Logan. Looking at the handsome man in front of him with a wary face, Logan answered awkwardly. Hearing the man's words, Leo was stunned because the moment the man opened his mouth, a mechanical voice suddenly appeared in his mind. Host has contacted the main character in the world, Logan. Mission completed. Now you can open the novice gift package. Do you want to open it? Is this the main character in this world? Why do I feel like I've heard this name somewhere before? Leo thought to himself. If someone who has watched a Marvel superhero movie heard this name, he would probably have guessed this person's identity. However, it's not Leo's fault. After all, he spent all his time in his previous life on his hobbies, extreme sports and fighting. He had little time to watch movies and the like. As for those superheroes, he only knew their nicknames like Wolverine and Iron Man, and that Wolverine had sharp claws and Iron Man had flying armor. As for the details like the names of those heroes, well, don't expect him to know. What's wrong, Leo? Old Paul looked at the stunned Leo, pointed his gun at Logan, and asked softly. It's okay. Leo suppressed the urge to open the novice gift pack right now and responded. Kid, what's wrong with you? Old Paul pointed his gun at Logan on the ground and asked cautiously. Cold, a little cold. Logan looked at the two men in front of him, one old and one young, staring at him closely, feeling extremely embarrassed. You're not taking drugs, are you? Old Paul asked hesitantly, looking at Logan who was constantly breathing heavily. No, Logan stammered. Just had a bad night? Old Paul slowed down his tone, with a hint of teasing in his eyes. Yes. Thinking of yesterday's experiment, which was not a good experience, Logan answered honestly. Then let's go. Come to my room. What do you think, Leo? Seeing that Logan didn't seem to be lying, old Paul put away his shotgun and asked Leo for his opinion. Hearing this, Leo nodded. After all, he still wanted to learn about the world through Logan, and taking him back now was a good idea. Well, I'll block this for you first. I don't want Aunt Lynn to see you get scared. I think you should be able to wear the clothes I bought last time. Leo looked at Logan, who was still squatting on the ground with an embarrassed look on his face, smiled teasingly, took off his black leather jacket, and threw it over. Thank you. Logan was grateful as he caught the black jacket thrown by Leo. After avoiding Aunt Lynn and taking Logan back to his room, Leo took out the clothes that old Paul bought for him last time from the closet and threw them over. These clothes should be about the same size. Logan caught the clothes thrown to him and said again sincerely, Thank you. Hey, although I know you have a great figure, but I still have to say that the clothes fell off. Leo glanced at Logan and pointed at the black leather jacket that Logan had used to block his vitals. Shit, Logan cursed in a low voice, and then hurriedly covered it with the clothes in his hands with an embarrassed look. Let's go. The bathroom is here. I think you should take a shower. Looking at the flustered Logan, Leo smiled and led him to the bathroom door. Bang! Seeing Logan rushing into the bathroom with an embarrassed look on his face, Leo smiled slightly. When he was about to turn around and leave, The bathroom door opened a crack, and then Logan's somewhat embarrassed voice came out. Your name? Lao. Hearing this, Leo replied, Thank you. Lao. After thanking him again, Logan closed the door. He felt that he had said more thank yous today than he had in the past year. This uncle is such a nuisance, Leo whispered and rushed into his room impatiently, then clicked on the gift package in his mind. Congratulations to the host for getting the mutant ability to teleport, 1 chance to win a prize, 300 points to redeem. Leo was stunned, and a current appeared in his body, moving around his body. After a while, the current disappeared, but Leo felt as if there was something extra in his body. Then, he thought about it and disappeared from the room. Holy crap, what is this? Leo was extremely shocked when he saw the sheep surrounding him. After a moment, Leo's face was filled with ecstasy. It's teleportation. Superpower. Then Leo was like a child who got a toy, and he kept teleporting among the sheep. Meh. Seeing Leo flashing around, the sheep became agitated as if they had seen a ghost. Who? Hearing the commotion of the sheep, a man rushed out from a distant house and shouted loudly. Go back. Hearing the shout, Leo felt amused at his childish behavior. He changed his mind and disappeared from the sheep. When he reappeared, he was already in his room. Huh. Leo was very happy, suppressing his laughter. At this moment, the mechanical voice of the system sounded in his mind again. Congratulations to the host for completing the current task. The host is rewarded with 100 exchange points. Huh. This system is pretty good. Hearing the system's prompt, Leo couldn't help but feel that the system had greatly improved. New task. Choose a camp. Task description. You already have extraordinary abilities, so what will you do with them? Do good or do evil? Please make your choice as soon as possible. Mission deadline. 3 days. If you fail to complete the task within the time limit, you will be killed. Damn it. I take back what I just said. Leo patted his head and gave the system a big middle finger. All right, I still have 1 chance to draw a lottery. Thinking of this, Leo couldn't help but think of the crappy system in his mind. Do you want to use the lottery opportunity? Sensing Leo's thoughts, the system's voice sounded again. Yes. Leo answered affirmatively, and a huge turntable appeared in Leo's mind. He wanted to see what good things were on the turntable, but after just a few breaths, Leo felt a dull pain in his head. Can I only rely on my luck? Leo sighed and shouted stop in his mind. Following Leo's thoughts, the turntable stopped. Congratulations to the host for obtaining the essence of fighting. As soon as the system finished speaking, a warm current mysteriously appeared, and then Leo felt as if there was something in his mind. After closing his eyes and comprehending for a while, Leo couldn't help but be happy because his fighting skills had reached a new level. If he could beat 3 ordinary people with his bare hands before, now he can beat 20. I have 400 points to redeem. What can I redeem? Leo opened the redemption system with a hint of joy. I really can't expect too much from this system. It's too shady. Looking at the redemption system, the most common fireball spell actually costs 1,000 points. Leo was once again shocked by the bottomless shadiness of this system. Lao, it's time for dinner. Just as Leo was looking through the system, Old Paul knocked on Leo's door. Oh, I'll be right there. Leo heard Old Paul's footsteps going away, and like those children who got new toys, he smiled slyly, appeared at his door in a flash, and then couldn't help but secretly cursed himself. Childish. I'll set the tableware, Leo shouted as he walked into the restaurant and looked at the busy old couple. In the restaurant, just as Leo was helping to set the tableware, Logan's somewhat embarrassed voice rang out at the door of the restaurant. I swear I will pay for it. This is the mark of something cutting it. Leo heard Logan's voice and couldn't help but look in the direction of the sound. When he saw the wash basin in Logan's hand, Leo's eyes shrank, and he became alert and suspicious again. Oh, it's okay. I wanted to change this for a long time. Looking at the broken sink, Old Paul was also stunned for a moment. Then he smiled heartily. Because of Logan, this dinner was unusually sumptuous, but Leo ate it a little boringly because he spent the whole night observing Logan. He was a soldier, a dangerous person, and he is worried about something in his heart. But what is certain is that he has no ill will towards us for the time being. After dinner, lying on the bed, Leo thought silently and then fell into a deep sleep. You know, since he came to this world, the system's sword of annihilation has been hanging over his head, and he hasn't had a good sleep for a long time. The morning sun shone on Leo's face with its unique, intoxicating temperature, waking him up from his deep sleep. Leo rubbed his eyes, got out of bed, washed up, and walked to the dining room, just in time to see Aunt Lynn, who was about to go out with juice and bread. Aunt Lynn, what are you doing? Paul and Logan are in the warehouse. They are chatting so much that they haven't had breakfast yet. Aunt Lynn smiled lovingly. I'm going to. Thinking of the dangerous Logan, Leo picked up a piece of bread and grinned. Pushing open the door of the barn, Leo saw Logan, who had slept in the barn for a night. Hey, Logan, are you hungry? You didn't tell me. Logan grinned. You look so handsome. Aunt Lynn, who followed Leo in, looked at Logan in a leather jacket, exclaimed, and then raised the food in her hand and said, I'll take it. Bang! At this moment, there was a sharp whistle, and the juice cup Aunt Lynn was holding suddenly shattered. It's a bullet. Seeing this scene, Leo was startled and saw a small hole on the ground. Then Leo, who had a keen sense of danger, couldn't help but feel a sharp pain in his back. Danger! Looking at Aunt Lynn standing in front of the window, Leo shouted. Without hesitation, he appeared beside Aunt Lynn in a flash, and the next moment, he took Aunt Lynn to the door. Swoosh! As expected, just as Leo dodged, a bullet broke the window and hit where Aunt Lynn was standing. Seeing this, Logan also pulled old Paul, who was standing in front of him, behind the obstacle. At the same time, on a small hill far away from old Paul's house, a black-haired Asian man was holding a sniper rifle and aiming at old Paul's warehouse. We found 10. We also found a mutant who can teleport. Teleport? Is it Phantom? After hearing Agent Zero's report, a surprised voice came from the communicator. No. In that case, there is no need to keep him. Let's see if 10 can withstand the bombardment. Stryker's tone was filled with anxiety. Yes. Hearing Stryker's words, the soldiers who came to arrest Logan couldn't help but answer. Leo had just rescued Aunt Lynn when he saw a scene that made his heart beat wildly. 2 small missiles were rushing towards the barn with tail flames. Damn! Leo cursed in a low voice, grabbed Aunt Lynn with his left hand, and flashed to appear next to old Paul. Then he held old Paul's shoulders and disappeared into the barn. Boom! Leo, who teleported with old Paul and his wife to a distant place, was stunned when he saw his house being blown up. He was terrified. If he hadn't teleported yesterday, he and old Paul and his wife would have been turned into ashes by now. Oh no! Logan, I'll go check it out, Uncle Paul. Leo couldn't help but shout out when he saw the blown-up warehouse. Be careful, kid. Hearing Leo's words, old Paul hugged Aunt Lynn, who was crying, and said with concern in a trembling voice, Okay. Looking at old Paul and Aunt Lynn, who were full of worry, Leo felt warm in his heart, nodded, and appeared near the ruined home. Dada. As soon as he appeared, Leo saw a thrilling scene. 2 armored vehicles and a helicopter that kept spitting out flames surrounded Logan, who was riding a motorcycle in the middle of the road. The next moment, Logan was about to face the end of the car being destroyed and people being killed. Then Leo saw an amazing scene. He saw that Logan, who was riding a motorcycle at high speed, had 3 sharp steel claws growing on his hands, which suddenly inserted into the ground. Then, with the force of this insertion, the fast-moving motorcycle suddenly turned its head and rushed towards the armored vehicle. Hands with sharp claws. This is Wolverine. Damn! Seeing this scene, Leo's heart felt like being trampled by 10,000 alpacas. Watching Logan use the claws on his hands to cut off the machine gun on the armored vehicle, Leo thought of the wash basin that Logan was holding. This thing is really sharp. Just as Leo was sighing, a black sniper rifle appeared on the helicopter chasing Logan. This feels like the guy who just shot at us. Seeing Agent Zero holding a sniper rifle, Leo's anger suddenly boiled up. This guy just wanted to kill old Paul and Aunt Lynn. Damn it. Thinking of the bullet that just came from the window, Leo disappeared from the spot with anger and appeared in the helicopter the next moment. Damn it. Just as Agent Zero was aiming at Logan, a strange voice appeared behind him. Without any hesitation, a silver-white pistol appeared in his hand like a butterfly, and he fired backwards. Bang, bang, he missed. Agent Zero knew the result without even turning around, because at this moment a strange figure was lying on the windshield of the helicopter. Leo smiled at the people in the plane with a cold look on his face, and then when Agent Zero raised his gun, his body disappeared again and appeared beside the pilot of the plane. Agent Zero's long-standing habit made him fire several shots at Leo on the side, but he didn't expect that just as he fired, Leo had already pulled the helicopter pilot in front of him. Bang! The gunshots rang out, leaving behind only a bleeding pilot's body and a group of dumbfounded soldiers on the helicopter. Goodbye. Leo, who had teleported from the helicopter to the ground, smiled and whispered to the falling helicopter. Boom! As Leo spoke, the helicopter spun and fell like a bird with broken wings, exploding with a ball of brilliant sparks. But at this moment, Leo, who had a keen sense of danger, felt as if his head was pricked by a needle, and then subconsciously teleported away from the spot. Bang! As soon as he left, a series of bullets came at him. Not dead yet. Seeing Agent Zero walk out from the wreckage of the helicopter, Leo's eyes condensed, and he teleported away again. Bang bang. A pair of slender fingers were like constantly beating notes, accompanied by the pistol in his hand that kept firing bullets, like the music of death that was beating out for the flickering Leo, which was extremely beautiful. Doesn't this guy need to aim? No matter where Leo teleported, as soon as Leo showed up, a fatal bullet would be fired at him. Leo even felt that the two guns in that man's hands had their own consciousness and life. Hey, Lao, do you need help? Just when Leo had no idea how to deal with the hedgehog-like Agent Zero, Logan's voice came over with a hint of ridicule. Hearing this, Leo curled his lips, smiled slyly, and teleported behind Logan with a hint of bad intentions. Bang! As soon as Leo appeared, a bullet shot at Leo. Oh, you're shot. Looking at Logan, who was blocking in front of him and touching the wound on his chest with an incredible look on his face, Leo teased. You bad boy. Hearing this, Logan smiled helplessly, and then a pair of sharp claws appeared on Logan's hands. Oh no! Agent Zero's face changed when he saw the claws on Logan's hands. He knew the horror of those indestructible claws. Moreover, the bullets he shot were completely useless against Logan's terrifying healing ability. Thinking of this, Agent Zero could not help but quietly move back a few steps. Hey, Logan, you want to run? Leo whispered behind Logan after observing Agent Zero's movements. You can't run. Hearing this, Logan's eyes flashed with coldness, and he rushed forward. Bang, bang. Seeing Logan rushing towards him, Agent Zero quickly retreated, and while retreating, he basically never stopped firing the double guns in his hands. Although the bullets fired could not kill Logan, they effectively slowed him down. Seeing this, Leo flashed and appeared beside Agent Zero, punching Agent Zero in the temple. Just as Leo was about to hit him, Leo felt the deadly danger again, and then his figure flashed and left the spot. How stupid. Suddenly, Leo cursed himself as if he had thought of something, and flashed and appeared behind Logan again. Logan, are you okay? Leo was envious of Logan, who was covered in bullet holes. What do you think? Logan shook his head to relieve the dizziness caused by the impact of the bullets, and answered unhappily. Well, I don't think so. Seeing a bullet shot between Logan's legs being blocked by Logan's hand, Leo's head went numb and he unconsciously squeezed his legs together. Logan, I'll teleport you to that guy. Teach me next. Logan continued Leo's words. Hey, hearing Logan's words, Leo chuckled and put his hand on Logan's shoulder. The next moment, the two of them appeared next to Agent Zero. As soon as he appeared, Logan roared, and his pair of adamant claws slashed towards Agent Zero's fragile neck. Facing the threat of death, Agent Zero kept shooting bullets at Logan, but this was useless to Logan, whose body was full of adamantium. So the next moment, a hideous head shot up into the sky. Looking at the head that shot up into the sky, Leo, who saw such a bloody scene so closely for the first time, did not feel anything special. Instead, Logan scared Leo after he turned around. Gudon. Looking at Logan's eyeball that was blown out by the bullet, Leo swallowed hard and said, Your eye. It's okay. It will grow back soon. Hearing Leo's words, Logan, who felt pain, grinned and said indifferently, Hee. Hearing this, Leo could only laugh and suddenly thought of the scene when Logan went to donate his organs. Which eye do you want? Okay, the left eye, right? Logan, with a smile on his face, stretched out his hand to dig out his eye. Thinking of this, Leo couldn't help but shudder. What's wrong? Seeing Leo shivering suddenly, Logan's only remaining eye showed a trace of concern. Nothing. I just suddenly thought that it would be a good idea for you to sell your organs, Logan. Hearing this, Leo said solemnly. Hey. Looking at Leo's solemn face, Logan smiled unhappily. Agent Zero, is Weapon 10 dead? Agent Zero, please answer. At this moment, Logan, who had the senses of a beast, heard a faint cry and immediately went to look for it. Picking up the earphone that kept making sounds, listening to the familiar voice coming from it, Logan said to the earphone expressionlessly, Do you want me to die, Logan? Stryker asked uncertainly. Where is Victor? Go back to the base. Let's deal with Victor together. Wrong answer. I'll find you after I kill Victor. Logan had a cold expression on his face after hearing Stryker's answer. Logan, listen to me. If you keep going like this, you won't like what you find. Stryker tried to persuade Logan, saying sincerely, "You wanted to create a beast, Colonel. You succeeded," Logan said coldly, and then cut off the signal in his hand. Hearing Logan's words, Leo felt inexplicably sad, and then said, "Logan, you are not a beast." "Thank you." Looking at Leo's sincere face, Logan pulled the corner of his mouth and then asked, "Old Paul and the others?" "It's okay. They're safe now. Then go find them first. They must be worried about you." Looking at Leo, Logan said with some envy, "Let's wait. I'm afraid you will scare them." Looking at Logan, whose eyeballs have grown out halfway, Leo said unhappily, "Hee hee." Hearing this, Logan touched his eyes. While Logan was recovering, Leo contacted the system in his mind, and the system immediately displayed the words "mission completed." Congratulations to the host for completing the current mission. Camp selection. Mission completion instructions. When facing danger, the host chose to save ordinary people, so the system judged the host to choose the hero camp, and hereby verbally commended. The system is officially named the Hero System. Damn, just verbal praise. Why don't you give me a big red flower? Seeing this, Leo's face was filled with black lines. At this moment, a new task appeared in the system. Daily task. Do one good deed a day. Task description. Since the host has chosen to be a hero, then the host needs to work hard continuously. Rome was not built in a day, and heroes are not made overnight. So what you need is accumulation. Task restrictions. You must complete one good deed every day, and you will be rewarded with 10 bonus points. Special reminder. If you fail to complete a good deed one day, you will be penalized by deducting 100 bonus points. If the bonus points are negative, the host will be killed. Seeing this, Leo took a deep breath and was once again frightened by the evil heart of this system. Ding! The task selection appears. Do you want to accept it? Yes, no? Task description. Now there's an opportunity in front of you. Help Logan, who is trapped in a trap, and you will get a chance to become famous among mutants. After completion, you will be rewarded with 1,000 redemption points and a chance to draw rewards. Task restrictions. None. Please select. Yes, no. This is an opportunity. Besides, the people who captured Logan already know of my existence and may target me. So for the safety of me and old Paul, that person must be eliminated. Besides, there is no punishment even if I fail. Looking at the system that started the countdown, Leo thought for a while and finally chose yes. Now, let's go. After all the injuries on his body recovered, Logan patted Leo. Yeah, good. Hearing this, Leo couldn't help but look at Logan's eyes that had grown back. Hey, buddy, can you stop looking at me like that? It makes me think you have some bad intentions. You think too much. By the way, where's old Paul's car? Hearing Logan's words, Leo's mouth twitched. It should be over there. Logan touched his chin uncertainly. Old Paul will be very happy if he finds a car. Thinking of the house that had become a ruin, Leo said in a bleak tone, "It's all my fault. I promise to compensate you." Logan said sincerely, "Then I'll remember it." Hey, now, shouldn't you say no need? No, I won't. You misjudged me. That's really a headache. Haha. After chatting all the way, the two found the motorcycle lying on the side of the road. And then Leo activated the teleportation, taking Logan and the motorcycle to the side of old Paul and his wife. As soon as he appeared, Leo felt a pain in his head, and then his body softened, staggered a few steps, and fell to the ground. Leo, kid, are you okay? Seeing this, old Paul and Aunt Lynn, who had calmed down, couldn't help but change their expressions. It's okay. I'm just a little exhausted. I'll be fine after a rest. Leo's face turned pale. He refused Logan's kindness to help him up and made a big move on the ground and closed his eyes. Is this too many teleports? Leo thought silently. After seeing his remaining 400 exchange points, he contacted the system again. System, how can I improve my current physical strength? The search requires 10 exchange points. Do you want to search? Damn, this is too dark. This still requires exchange points. He cursed inwardly and looked at the dazzling array of exchange items in the system. It was like looking for a needle in a haystack to find what he needed. Thinking of this, Leo finally gritted his teeth and chose yes. Query completed. It is found that the host's redemption point balance is only 390 points, so the only option that currently meets the host requirements is to exchange for physical strength. Ability introduction. It doesn't have much ability, it simply increases your physical fitness. Bad review. He had originally thought that the system would list all the abilities that met his requirements, so that he could feast his eyes on them first. But he didn't expect that it was actually linked to his redemption points. What a fucking shit. Click on the exchange option. To increase physical strength, 1 times the initial strength, you need to exchange 100 points. To double the initial strength, you need to exchange 200 points, and so on. Exchange restrictions. You can only exchange from 1 times. No loopholes at all. Leo originally wanted to exchange directly for triple physical strength, but after seeing the final exchange restrictions, he could only honestly start from 1 times. Exchange for double the amount. Leo silently chanted in his heart. In the blink of an eye, only 90 points were left. In addition to feeling distressed, he began to feel sore, itchy, numb, and swollen in his body. It only lasted for a dozen seconds at most. When these feelings disappeared, Leo keenly felt that his body had undergone great changes. First, the sequelae of using teleportation too many times disappeared. Secondly, he felt that his physical strength had been comprehensively enhanced, including his strength, speed, endurance, and defense. He even felt that the perception of his 5 senses had become much sharper. Slowly regaining awareness of his body, Leo opened his eyes and sat up. Leo, are you okay? Kid, are you okay? Seeing Leo, Logan and Paul and his wife spoke with joy on their faces. Silently clenching his fists, after feeling a completely different power from before, Leo's eyes showed a hint of joy, and then he said, "Well, has a long time passed? It's only a quarter of an hour. I haven't finished my cigar yet." Logan flicked the ash off his cigar and raised his eyebrows. "Then let's go. They might catch up with us." Leo stood up and dusted himself off, looking worried. Then he looked at the kind-looking old Paul and his wife and said, "Uncle Paul, Aunt Lynn, I'm really sorry." "Kid, you don't have to apologize. Logan told me everything." Hearing this, old Paul patted Leo on the shoulder with a distressed look on his face and then angrily scolded. "Even if you have some special abilities, you can't be used for experiments. Those people are really beasts." "Yes, kid, you don't have to hide anymore." Aunt Lynn also looked distressed. Hearing what Paul and his wife said, Leo felt warmed, but he couldn't help wondering, what experiment? Then he looked at Logan with a smile on his face, bumped into Logan, and asked fiercely, "What did you make up?" "Nothing. Just say that you're doing experiments to avoid being caught like me. That's why." Logan threw away the cigarette, but in his hand, and said softly, "Hey Logan, that's you, not me." Hearing this, Leo retorted, "Don't worry about those details, Leo." He winked at Leo, and then shouted loudly, "Pauline, let's go. Let Leo take us to a safe place." He sighed helplessly, ordered the 3 to put their hands on him, and then teleported, and the 4 people and the car disappeared. The next moment, 4 figures suddenly appeared in an empty alley in the town where Leo and his friends bought seeds. Then an old voice rang out, "It's amazing. Old Paul, let's not talk about this for now. You just said you wanted to sell your car?" Leo said in surprise. "Haha, I think we need more money than this car." Touching the car body with some reluctance, old Paul laughed and pointed at the clothes on Logan's body that were riddled with bullet holes and said, "Logan needs a set of clothes, and we also need to settle down first. But this bike, don't say anything, Leo. I can't ride it anymore, can I?" Hearing Leo's words, old Paul patted the seat with some sadness. Well, the sky gradually darkened. After old Paul sold the motorcycle, the 4 of them finally settled down in a hotel. After dinner, in the hotel room, Leo and Logan knocked on old Paul's door. "Uncle Paul." Looking at the wise eyes of old Paul, Leo hesitated. "You seem to have made up your mind to do something bad." Just when Leo and Logan didn't know how to start, old Paul opened the door and waited for the 2 to come in and said in a serious tone, "We have no choice." Hearing this, Logan said helplessly, "Nonsense. Do you know the result? It will be a disaster for both of us." Old Paul raised his voice. "Uncle Paul, we swear we will come back safely." Seeing this, Leo pressed Paul's shoulder and said in a serious tone, "Paul, let the children go." Just as old Paul wanted to say something, Aunt Lynn calmly interrupted him. "Thank you, Aunt Lynn. You're not to thank me, Leo. But when you made your choice, I believe you all considered it carefully. But you have to promise Aunt Lynn that you will come back safely. By the way, this is for you." As she spoke, Aunt Lynn took off a silver chain from her neck. At the bottom of the chain hung a silver cross. Then Aunt Lynn buckled it in the middle of the cross, and a hollow cross and a small cross appeared in Aunt Lynn's hands. Holding the two crosses in her hands, Lynn placed them in Leo and Logan's hands respectively and said, "God will bless you." Leo wrapped the silver-white chain around his wrist a few times, and a silver-white bracelet appeared. Looking at the silver-white hollow cross, Leo hugged Aunt Lynn and promised, "I will definitely come back, and I still have to take care of you." Logan looked at the things in his hand and was a little overwhelmed. For him, the only thing he had ever hung around his neck was a dog tag. But seeing Lynn's expectant eyes, he still hung the silver chain and his dog tag together. Bang under the worried eyes of the two old men, Leo and Logan closed the door. "Leo, you don't have to take risks with me. I will take care of them. Of course I know you will. But I don't have the habit of letting my friends go on adventures alone. Besides, you will be less in danger if I'm here, right?" Hearing this, Leo smiled slightly. At this moment, he didn't want to complete any tasks, just because Logan was his friend, the first friend he came to this strange world. "Hey, Lao, you're like this. I feel like you're confessing to me." Hearing Leo's words, Logan's cold heart surged with warmth, and then he teased Leo. "You're overthinking it. Las Vegas, right?" Leo twitched his lips, stretched out his hand, and pressed on Logan's shoulder, and the two figures disappeared in an instant. The next moment, two figures suddenly appeared in the sky 10,000 meters above the ground in Las Vegas. "Where's this?" Logan looked at his feet in a daze. "Las Vegas." As soon as Leo finished speaking, the two figures suddenly fell. "Oh!" Logan was in a panic, waving his hands and feet in the air. In the extremely cold sky, he was sweating. "Huh, it feels so good." He made various poses in the air. In the previous world, as an extreme sports enthusiast, he had jumped from the sky countless times. But this time he didn't have a parachute, so the thrill of counting down his life completely made Leo high. "Leo! Leo! You bastard!" Logan shouted loudly while watching Leo swimming around beside him. "Logan, you're afraid of heights, aren't you? Asshole, let me down quickly. This feeling is terrible," Logan said with a trembling voice while watching the rapidly enlarging buildings on the ground. Okay. You are such a coward," Leo muttered, swam to Logan's side, pressed Logan's shoulder, and teleported. The two of them disappeared, and the next moment they appeared on a street where almost no one could be seen. "If you dare to do that again, I'll cut off your balls," Logan said viciously as soon as he stepped on the ground. "Logan, what?" Logan responded in a somewhat unkind tone. "Can you take care of your trembling legs first before you say such vicious words to me? You make me think of a kitten with bared fangs and claws." Looking at his legs that didn't listen to his command at all, Logan was speechless for a long time, looking at Leo, who was teasing, and finally squeezed out a word from his teeth. Watching Logan light a cigar, Leo asked with a hint of curiosity, "Do you mind telling me about your past?" Hearing this, Logan raised his eyebrows, without any consideration, and instinctively wanted to refuse, but after seeing Leo's sincere eyes, he paused and slowly said, "I have lived long enough and participated in various wars. After I was tired, I quit. Just after I resumed my peaceful life, a bastard killed my woman. In order to kill that bastard, I accepted an experiment, but the person who experimented on me wanted to erase my memory, so I escaped and met you." Looking at Logan's sad and vicissitudes eyes in the smoke, Leo was stunned and said, "This is really a short and tortuous story. Okay, next let's go find Phantom. Maybe he knows where Victor is." Hearing Leo's words, Logan took a puff of the cigar in his mouth and took a step. Following Logan's footsteps, Leo was about to speak when the mechanical voice of the system in his mind rang. "There's still 3 hours until tomorrow morning. Please complete today's task. Otherwise, you will be punished by deducting 100 exchange points." He slapped his forehead. Leo was a little helpless. He actually forgot about this. He didn't have any exchange points for this Blackheart system to deduct. "Logan, go find Phantom first. I have something to take care of. Do you need help?" Hearing Leo's words, Logan raised his eyebrows and asked, "No, I'll find you at the boxing ring you mentioned later." As soon as he finished speaking, Leo disappeared with teleportation, and the next moment he appeared on the tallest building in Las Vegas. Looking at the brightly lit casino, Leo had never been as eager as he was now to have some trouble happen, so that he could solve it and complete his damn daily tasks. Maybe Leo was in a bad mood, or maybe the security here was good. Leo, who had been standing on the rooftop observing, had been exposed to the cold wind for half an hour, but he didn't see anything that could help him complete his tasks. "Go over there and have a look. Waiting for something to happen isn't a good idea," Leo whispered, and then he disappeared. But he didn't notice that in the sky above his head, a pair of cold eyes saw the whole process of Leo's disappearance. Mutants who can teleport? What an unexpected gain. The black figure chuckled, and a look of interest appeared in his eyes. Then, he slowly fell from the sky like a god. Whoosh! Leo used teleportation to flash across the buildings in Las Vegas. Finally, when he passed a dim alley, Leo heard a voice full of obscenity. "Girl, come and give me some fun." Finally found it. Leo's eyes lit up, and he teleported to a shadow in the alley. He saw the burly man who was molesting a woman. Although he hated such a beast who ruined people's innocence, Leo thanked the burly man from the bottom of his heart at this moment, thanking him for helping him complete the task. "Girl, are you scared? Don't be afraid. I'll be very gentle." Although he was a little confused as to why the woman in front of him didn't scream for help like the other women in the past, the big man, whose mind was full of lust at the moment, didn't think much about it and stretched out his hand to grab the woman in front of him. "Big guy, if you don't want to get beaten, just stand there honestly." Hearing this strange voice, the big man turned around suddenly and shouted, "Who is it?" At the same time, after hearing Leo's voice, the woman was surprised, and the amber color that had slowly appeared in her eyes disappeared instantly, and a look of fear appeared on her charming face. Stepping on the dirty water in the alley, Leo slowly walked out, his blue eyes full of contempt for the big man. Although Leo's face was covered by a shadow and looked a little blurry, Mystique still saw Leo's appearance clearly with her eyes that were different from ordinary people, and then a trace of amazement flashed in her eyes. The man standing in the shadow was nearly 1.9 meters tall, well-proportioned, with a spirited black short hair, a pair of deep blue eyes like the sea under a pair of heroic sword-like eyebrows, a high-nosed bridge, and a face that looked like a marble sculpture, which contained 3 points of oriental softness, making that face exude amazing charm. After taking a closer look, Mystique couldn't help but think, "I'll use this face when I need to face some women in the future." "Hey, another idiot who wants to be a hero and save the beauty?" The 2-meter tall man said contemptuously, comparing Leo's body, which seemed a little thin compared to himself. "No time to waste with this idiot." Thinking of what happened with Logan, Leo whispered and appeared in front of the big man in a flash. Then, with the big man's expression as if he had seen a ghost, he punched the man in the face. Bang! Without any suspense, under Leo's extraordinary strength, the big man's head was like being hit by a hammer, and he fell down with gushing nosebleed. "Let's go." "Beauty," Leo said to the woman with a scared face, and then his figure disappeared in an instant. "So we're the same kind. No wonder I didn't hear the footsteps before." Seeing this scene, Mystique suddenly realized, and then a blue face with scales appeared. "I'm just a little soft-hearted." With light steps, she walked to the side of the fainted man. A strange smile appeared on the corner of her mouth, and then she stepped between the man's legs. At this moment, there seemed to be a sound of eggs breaking. "Ah!" The man woke up from the pain and screamed in pain between his legs. But the next moment, with the sound of breaking wind, he was kicked unconscious by a blue foot again before he could see who attacked him. "Is this the one?" After completing the task and looking at the increased exchange points, Leo found the boxing ring that Logan mentioned with a good mood. Is it closed?" Looking at the closed door, Leo was a little puzzled, but at this moment, he heard Logan's voice. Looking at the lights on the upper floor, Leo smiled slightly and disappeared. "Who are you?" Looking at Leo, who suddenly appeared, the Phantom's black face was alert. "Leo, are you done?" At this moment, Logan's voice rang out. "Yeah, do you know each other?" Phantom asked in surprise after hearing Logan's words. "Of course, Leo is my good brother," Logan said after taking a sip of beer. "Brother? I haven't heard these 2 words from you for a long time." Phantom was a little surprised to hear Logan address Leo. After all, he had only heard Logan address Victor in this way before. "What happened to him after I left?" Logan stood up and asked. Hearing this, Leo pricked up his ears. "After you left, he became more and more irritable. He felt that you abandoned him. He wanted to prove that he was better than you. So he destroyed everything. A few months later, I quit Team X and didn't want to round them up." At this point, Phantom couldn't help but look sad. "Who are we rounding up?" Logan asked doubtfully. "Never mind. Who are we rounding up?" Logan raised his voice, his face full of solemnity. "Are they mutants?" Seeing the hesitation on Phantom's face, Leo asked in a speculative tone. "Yes, we are rounding up our own people. If we do such a thing, we will definitely go to hell." "Why?" Logan was shocked. Stryker said, "We are doing the right thing. to prevent ordinary people from being harmed by mutants. Phantom was furious. Haha, ridiculous. Is Stryker mentally ill? Hearing this, Leo couldn't help laughing. Maybe, but no matter how you want to kill Victor, your strength is the same as his, and they are evenly matched. Phantom agreed with a bit of disappointment and then spoke to Logan. Remember the meteorite fragments in Africa? Of course. Phantom nodded. Swish. Logan stretched out 3 bright silver claws and showed them to Phantom. Damn, what did they do to you? Phantom was shocked when he saw the flash of bright silver claws. Don't ask. Agent Zero mentioned an island. Do you know where it is? I don't know, maybe Duke knows. He has a good relationship with Zero. Furduck? Is he there? Right here. Phantom shrugged. Then let's go talk to him. Hearing this, Logan couldn't help but speak impatiently. Wait, he won't be here until 4 o'clock. I have to warn you, because of the previous incident, he has an eating disorder. I'm trying to get him back to normal. If you want him to help, don't mention his weight. As he said that, Phantom took out a bottle of beer from the refrigerator and threw it to Leo. Then we'll wait for him until 4 o'clock, Leo said as he opened the beer in his hand. The next day, on the boxing ring, Leo and Logan finally saw the Duke that the Phantom had mentioned. He looks like a monster that swallowed Fry. Logan sighed as he looked at the fat and terrifying figure. I'm curious, how can he still move like this? Leo was shocked as he saw the fat Fry knock the sturdy man in front of him away with one punch. Be polite. Hearing what the two said, Phantom reminded them in a low voice. Fat Fry. I still remember that girl was slim. Logan walked to the front of the ring, looked at the tattoo on the fat man's arm that was deformed due to obesity, and said, You still like to joke. Logan, after taking a sip of the super large bottle of Coke in his hand, Fry said slowly, Do you know where Victor is? Logan asked, I don't know. Where is that island? Leo asked, Don't bump into the door when you leave. After hearing Logan's question, Fry paused, said something, turned around, and looked like he was leaving. Unless you tell me where that island is? Boss, help me. Logan rushed to the ring and said excitedly, You said big guy. Hearing Logan's words, Fry was furious. No. Logan was stunned. Fry roared, and his fat belly hit Logan violently, knocking Logan away instantly. Humph. Seeing this, Leo snorted coldly, flashed his body, and teleported to the stage. Leo, don't be impulsive. You're no match for him. Fry can even withstand the shells. Seeing Leo's actions, Logan shouted anxiously. I'm a civilized person, and I won't fight. I just want to play a game with him. Leo smiled slightly. What game? Hearing this, Logan was stunned. Fly high game. With a grin, Leo teleported to Frey's side, and before Fry could react, he stretched out his hand and pressed on Frey's fat body. Then, the figures of the two disappeared in an instant. Fly high. After hearing Leo's words, Logan recalled his not-so-good memories and turned pale. Half an hour later, Leo, with a happy face, appeared in front of Logan and Phantom again with poor Fry. As soon as he appeared, the fat man lay on the boxing ring like a pool of mud. Looking at every piece of Frey's fat that was shaking with fear, Logan felt pity for the fat man and looked at Leo with hope. Done. But you may not like the result, Logan. Leo walked down from the ring, a little worried. What? Logan was stunned. Victor and Stryker are together. They're on the island. They captured mutants for experiments. Patting Logan's shoulder, Leo felt heavy. They actually killed her for the experiment, just to put alloy in my body. Hearing Leo's words, Logan's face was full of disbelief, and then boundless anger rose in his eyes. He punched the wall beside him. In an instant, Logan's fist turned into a bloody mess, but Logan seemed to feel no pain at all and continued to punch. Leo stopped the Phantom who wanted to stop Logan from committing this self-harming behavior and said, Let him vent. What the hell is going on? The Phantom was confused. This is all a conspiracy to make Logan into a sharp weapon. From Victor killing Logan's wife to arousing Logan's hatred, to Stryker persuading Logan to cooperate with his experiment to give Logan a body of steel and iron. All of this is Stryker's plan. Logan was used as a pawn, a test subject, and I even feel. At this point, Leo glanced at the angry Logan, swallowed the rest of his words, and added in his heart, I feel that Logan's fiance's death is also a bit strange. Fuck, Victor is really crazy. You know, he and Logan are brothers. Phantom cursed. Brothers? Hearing this, Leo was stunned. You don't know? Looking at Leo, who was confused, Phantom paused and explained, I, Fry, Zero, Logan, Victor, Intention, and the annoying Chatterbox Wade were originally part of the X team that performed special missions under Stryker. However, during a mission, Logan left the team first because of killing ordinary people. Later, because of hunting mutants, Fry and Intention also left the team. I knew Stryker would not let us go. At the end, Phantom couldn't help but look terrified. Then let's kill Stryker first. Leo, let's go. At this time, Logan, who had already sobered up from his anger, called Leo and walked out the door. Where are you going? Hearing Logan's words, Phantom's body shook and said, Go find the gold medalist. Leo said without turning his head. Looking at the backs of the two people, Phantom's face was hesitant, but he finally gritted his teeth and said, I know where that person is. I'll take you there. As soon as the voice fell, Phantom's body flashed and followed the two people. Gold Hand, whose real name is Remy LeBeau, is called Gold Hand because of his ability to win every time he gambles. He is the only mutant who has escaped from the island where Stryker was experimenting. Of course, some people who know his mutant ability call him King of Cards. The King of Cards' mutant ability is very powerful. By touching objects, the King of Cards can inject energy into individuals from himself to make them powerful explosive weapons, or directly activate the potential energy stored in individuals to convert them into kinetic energy of other properties. The only limitation of this ability is the charging time. The larger the object touched, the longer the energy conversion time required, and the stronger the explosiveness produced. Therefore, he often uses playing cards as weapons because there is almost no charging delay. At night, Leo and Phantom followed to a casino on Bourbon Street in Las Vegas. Hey, Leo, you are really popular with women. This is the nth time. Phantom sighed with jealousy as he watched Leo reject the advances of a blonde beauty again. I'll give it all to you, Leo said casually, his eyes searching the crowd. I think I found it. Finally, at a gambling table, Leo saw a young man performing cool card tricks and then said to Logan, I'll block the back door to prevent him from escaping. By the way, this card trick is really cool. After watching the King of Cards find 4 A's from the flying cards, Phantom said something and turned to walk towards the back door. I won't hit him, Logan said to Leo as if to make a promise. Really? Leo raised his eyebrows and asked suspiciously, Why do I hit anyone I see? Well, dogs bite cats when they see them. Leo smiled and teased, walked to the table and said, Are you Remy LeBeau? Do I owe you money? The Card King looked at the handsome man in front of him and asked. No, Leo said simply. Then I am him. The Card King took off his hat and smiled slightly, with a strange light flashing in his red pupils. At the same time, the Phantom who had just walked out of the back door saw a familiar figure walking on the narrow street and whispered in confusion, Victor? Then he flashed and appeared in front of the figure. Are you my brother's new babysitter? Victor said with a bloodthirsty smile. Oh, you can't scare me. Really? Duke will fall for it. You shouldn't do that. I'm going to kill you. I won't let Logan have a chance. Thinking of Freduk, who might have been killed by the saber-toothed tiger, Phantom said angrily in a low voice, then flashed and punched the saber-toothed tiger in the face. Huh, the speed is fast enough, but the force is not enough. Are you scratching me? The saber-toothed tiger licked the blood from the corner of his mouth and smiled bloodthirstily. In the casino, Leo and Logan sat at the gambling table opposite the King of Cards. The King of Cards smiled and said, How much do you bet? Hearing this, Leo touched the money on his body and asked Logan, How much money do you have left? 17, Logan replied, pinching his nose. Are you kidding? Just use the money to take a taxi home. Hearing this, the King of Cards realized that the two people in front of him were not the ones he was gambling with. And then his eyes condensed and he said in a deep tone, Where is Victor? Logan pressed on the table, leaned forward slightly, and asked with a hint of oppression, I don't know him. Who is he? The King of Cards smiled and continued playing the cards in his hand. The person I want to kill. It is said that he is on an island, working for Stryker. I want to know where that island is. Controlling his impatient heart, Logan said slowly, Why would I know? The King of Cards pulled his mouth and forced a smile. Because you're the gold medalist. So far, you're the only one who has escaped from that island. We need you to lead the way. Leo's eyes condensed and he spoke directly. At this moment, because Logan leaned forward, a steel dog tag slipped out his arms. The King of Cards' eyes shrank and he said, Your dog tag is really good. Is it the same one as the one that caught me? Then his fingers glowed with a faint red light, and a dangerous feeling appeared on the stack of playing cards in his hand. You misunderstood. Listen to me. Logan explained anxiously, But before he could finish his words, a large pile of cards with explosive energy shot towards Leo and Logan. Damn! Leo cursed, stretched out his hand, and pressed on Logan, then teleported to avoid the flashing red cards. But the cards slammed into the wall behind Leo and the others, and a large hole more than one person tall appeared in the roar. At this moment, Logan's beast-like perception detected a familiar breath, and then a look of rage appeared on Logan's face. He rushed out of the hole, and then Leo heard Logan's roar, "Victor!"